Alright, so I know what you're thinking. Meditation, really, Nate. You're 25, a self-proclaimed financial guru, and you're telling me to sit, cross-legged and chant, hold your horses, or your crypto, or whatever it is you're holding, because this isn't about some woo spiritual journey. This is about cold, hard financial reality and why your inability to just, well, be, might be costing you a fortune. Many people ask me, Nate, what is the secret to making serious money? And I tell them the truth, the absolute unvarnished truth. But guess what? No one ever believes me. They expect some complicated algorithm, some insider trading tip, some obscure altcoin, but the real secret, the one I've been quietly leveraging since 2019, is so ridiculously simple. It is almost offensive. It is meditation. And before you click away faster than a meme stock crashing, hear me out, because every unnecessary expense, every impulsive purchase, every decision fueled by panic or FOMO is you, personally, firing an employee who is diligently working to make you wealthy. You're literally sabotaging your own financial future, one emotional reaction at a time. Back in 2019, I was still the same ambitious, slightly obnoxious, 20-year-old I am now, just a little less wise. I picked up a new habit, meditation, and in this video, I want to spill all the benefits, all the juicy insights, and all the brutal truths I've learned from meditating nearly every single day since then. Now, let's be real. I'm not some enlightened monk spending an hour a day in silent contemplation. That is just not me. And honestly, it felt overwhelming, like an hour every day. Who has that kind of time? My schedule is tighter than a drum, so I started small, 5 to 10 minutes, usually every day. Sometimes life happens. I travel, I'm with people, and I miss a day. And that is totally fine. But even with that small, almost negligible time commitment, I've learned so many things that have genuinely helped me navigate this crazy world, and most importantly, things that have directly impacted my financial acumen. The goal here, my friends, is to completely flip your mindset, especially if you're a skeptic, because for the first 21, almost 22 years of my life, I thought meditation was a total joke, like some hippy-dippy nonsense, a complete waste of precious time. Why would I sit there for half an hour doing absolutely nothing, when I could be grinding, learning, earning, or at the very least, binge-watching something utterly ridiculous? Time, as we all know, is the ultimate finite resource, so why on earth would I waste it? That was my constant internal monologue, my mantra of productivity, but now I see it differently, and if I can shift even one person's perspective today, I'll be absolutely thrilled. I know there are probably 100 other videos you could be watching, probably more entertaining, more flashy, promising instant riches, but I promise you, if you stick with me, you're going to learn something incredibly useful for your life, something that could fundamentally change your approach to money and ultimately to happiness. So, let's get into it. First things first, let's cut through the noise and clarify what meditation actually is. There are so many definitions, so many misconceptions out there. It is not about completely clearing your mind and achieving some blank slate. And it is also not about letting your thoughts run wild and unchecked. Really, at its core, it is about simply observing your own thoughts. I hope I didn't lose you there. I know it sounds a bit abstract, and honestly, I didn't grasp it right away either. But the key, the absolute crux of it, is to observe your thoughts, but not to explore them, not to get dragged down the rabbit hole of every fleeting idea. There are actually 9 different types of meditation, but don't worry, I don't know what half of them are either, so don't feel overwhelmed. I simply practice mindfulness meditation. It has been incredibly useful for me, and I'll break down the 5 key benefits I've personally experienced in just a minute. But let's really solidify this definition. In mindfulness meditation, you're simply observing your own thoughts. For example, let's say I'm sitting here, meditating, and suddenly I smell something, like really good cookies. When we're not meditating, our minds just take off, right? Our 5 senses kick in, we're smelling, hearing, feeling, seeing, tasting, and our thoughts just wander. I smell cookies, then I think, who is making them? What kind of cookies? Are they for me? Where are they going? And suddenly, I'm deep in a cookie-fueled daydream. But when you're meditating, you simply acknowledge that you smell the cookies, you label it, smelling, 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 and then you gently, firmly move on. You don't explore it any further. You're not actively seeking new thoughts. You're just observing. This simple practice has been a game changer for calming my racing mind. But let's talk about the real meat and potatoes here. The key benefits of meditation as a whole. There are 5 main benefits I've personally learned and integrated over the past year and a half or so of meditating. The biggest, most overarching benefit, and something that has truly helped me, is dealing with stress. Look, the vast majority of people on this planet experience some level of stress. Some people, like me, probably far more than others. Whether it is from work, school, navigating tricky relationships, or dealing with family drama, We all get stressed, and you don't need a medical degree or a fancy therapist to know that chronic stress is genuinely unhealthy. It is a silent killer. Stress can lead to higher blood pressure, messed up sleep, poor decision making, you know the drill. This is common knowledge, and I absolutely urge you, to explore this further. But meditation has been my secret weapon for relieving and managing stress. There are different seasons in life, some more stressful than others, but whenever I feel that familiar knot in my stomach, that tightness in my shoulders, I just take 5 or 10 minutes to meditate, and it genuinely helps alleviate it. Now, there are other ways to deal with stress. Of course, exercise is fantastic. Watching a good movie works, hanging out with friends, but unfortunately, some people resort to less healthy coping mechanisms, like alcohol or drugs. I've found meditation to be one of the most effective, most sustainable ways to manage my stress. And don't just take my word for it. There are countless studies, hundreds of them, showing meditation's consistent efficacy in stress reduction. There are even meta-studies, which are studies of many other studies, so go read about them. Learn how it can really help you manage your stress levels. I don't want this video to sound like meditation is some magic pill that will cure all your life's problems. It is definitely not a panacea, it won't fix everything, but it absolutely helps in a multitude of ways. On top of that, and kind of going hand in hand with stress, the second great benefit to meditating that I've found is its profound impact on anxiety. Sometimes you just feel anxious for no discernible reason, and it is a terrible feeling. Meditation has been a huge help here too. And once again, studies consistently highlight its benefits for anxiety relief. But there are 3 more key benefits, and honestly, these weren't even highlighted much when I was initially researching meditation and deciding whether to give it a shot. One of them, a game changer for me, is that it has helped me so much in making decisions based on logic, rather than raw emotion. Think about all those times in your life when you made a rash decision, because you were angry or sad or just plain fed up. You acted impulsively. You said things you shouldn't have said. You did things you shouldn't have done. All because your emotions were running the show. Now, whenever I feel that flood of emotions, usually negative ones, from something that has happened, I take 5 or 10 minutes to meditate. That is all it takes. It helps center me. It allows me to detach from the immediate emotional response and make decisions based on clear, rational thought, not fleeting feelings. I like to think it has saved me from a lot of trouble, a lot of regrettable choices. I often wonder how many big mistakes could have been avoided if people just took a few minutes to meditate before reacting. I truly believe this is one of the most underrated benefits of meditation. Now there are 2 more benefits. One of them is vastly improved sleep. Absolutely. Totally helps with sleep. Again, I'm not a sleep doctor. I'm just a regular guy on the internet. But if you have lower stress levels, and your mind is just buzzing with a million thoughts, you're completely wound up, meditate for a few minutes. It genuinely helps me fall asleep so much quicker and so much deeper. It is like hitting the reset button on your brain. And then, the final key benefit I've found from meditating, and this is actually a concern I've had for a long time, is its impact on my attention span. I've noticed my attention span getting shorter and shorter, and it feels like with every generation, it just keeps shrinking. We're like goldfish. Now, always needing something new, something shiny. That is why TikTok is so popular. That is why movies have cuts every 3 seconds, because our brains are constantly craving novelty. Our attention spans are practically non-existent, and lengthening that even a little bit has helped me in so many ways that I can't even fully describe in this video. It is like unlocking a superpower for focus and concentration, which, let's be honest, is invaluable in today's distraction-filled world, especially when you're trying to build wealth. So, those are the 5 key benefits, the 5 things I've learned from this seemingly simple practice. Now, if you've made it this far in the video and you're still thinking, Nate, whatever, I'm not a hippie, I'm not doing this, I just want you to try one thing, just one, and that is to stop and just spend some time with yourself in your own head. And when I say this, I don't mean go read a book or watch a movie or even spend time with your dog. I mean truly stop and face yourself. I know, it sounds a little cheesy, a little corny, but it is something I started doing a while ago. I have this theory that so many of us are constantly trying to fill our time to avoid our own thoughts. This is why people sometimes ask me, Nate, how can you just sit on a bench and do nothing for 2 hours? I could never do that. I always need to be doing something. And sure, people are wired differently. Maybe it is easier for me than for others, and there is no right or wrong answer here. But I genuinely believe, if you can stop and truly be content with your own thoughts, with yourself, and just take everything in, rather than constantly seeking distractions, it is almost like so many of us are running from ourselves in a weird, uncomfortable way. And for me, personally, this simple act of facing myself, of being content with my thoughts, of not needing to constantly fill every waking moment with external stimuli, has brought me so much peace and happiness. And that, my friends, is why I put it at the very end of this video. It is something I've noticed and something I felt compelled to share, so maybe try it out just for a week, just for 2 weeks, see how you feel. Let me know your thoughts, send me a message on Instagram. I genuinely love to hear about your experience. And I truly hope this video offered you some value. If you want to dive deeper into meditation, I recommend watching some YouTube videos. It is a little tricky to learn on your own, so follow along with some guided sessions to help you get started. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. And hopefully I'll be back with another video for you all next week. I'll see everybody next time. Stay boring, stay patient. Peace.